It all began on Christmas, a time when families are supposed to come together. But for me, it was anything but festive. My mother, with her usual cold smile, casually remarked, "Every great house needs good staff." Those words hung in the air, a chilling reminder of how I had always been seen. It wasn't about love, it was about roles. My son and daughter, standing there with gifts they could barely comprehend, were already being assigned theirs in this family. Tyler, my nephew, with his $2,000 drone, was being groomed to lead. And my children, they were being handed industrial cleaning aprons as though their purpose was nothing more than to serve. In that moment, something inside me broke. I didn't scream, I didn't argue. I simply took those aprons from their confused hands, dropped them into the trash, and walked out the door. No words, just a decision. I was done trying to earn their love, done being the fixer. I was going to reclaim my own life, and nothing would stop me. The drive back to the condo was like a slow-motion blur. Leo and Mia were both asleep in the back seat, their tiny bodies curled up like they could finally rest, even though there was nothing peaceful about the night. I could hear the faint hum of the tires on the highway, but it was more of a distraction than anything else, a sound that only made the silence feel heavier. I didn't turn on the radio. The stillness was suffocating, but I needed it. I needed that quiet to clear my mind, to come to grips with the decision I'd made, and to process what was really happening. I had just orphaned myself. It was the only way to describe it. I had just walked away from everything I had been taught to hold dear my family, my place in their world, and their hollow promises of love. I had spent 32 years pretending that this was what I wanted, that the constant validation, the constant striving to keep them happy was enough. But now, driving down this empty road, I realized how foolish I had been. I wasn't grieving the loss of my parents. I wasn't even grieving the family I thought I had. What hurt, what cut me to the core was that I had spent so much of my life trying to earn their love. And for what? For their approval. For a seat at the table I would never truly belong to. I wasn't just a daughter to them. I was an investment, a safety net, a backup plan. They had taught me that my survival was a privilege they granted me. They made me believe that everything I did, every sacrifice I made, was to repay that invisible debt. From the time I was 6, I had known my place. I was never meant to be a part of the family in any meaningful way. Justin was the investment, the golden boy. I was the insurance policy, the one they could call when things got tough, the one they could count on when their image was at risk. And every time I stepped in to fix things, to clean up their messes, I wasn't doing it because I cared. I was doing it because I had been conditioned to think that was my role, that was my purpose. For years, I had convinced myself that I was doing the right thing, that I was helping, that I was saving them. But tonight, as I drove in the dark, I saw it for what it really was. I was paying a ransom for love that would never come. I didn't need to fix them anymore. I didn't need to bend over backwards to earn their affection, their respect, their approval. The truth was, I had been looking for something that wasn't ever going to be there. I had been so desperate for their love, so desperate for their validation, that I had neglected the most important person in all of this, myself. The silence in the car wasn't just a lack of sound, it was a reflection of what had been taken from me for so long. My own voice, my own identity had been buried under the weight of their expectations. And I had let it happen. I had let myself become small, quiet and visible. But that was over now. The realization hit me like a slap in the face. I was grieving not just the loss of my parents, but the loss of my own self-worth. For all these years, I had believed that my value was tied to what I could give to them, what I could do for them. And now I had nothing left to give, nothing left to sacrifice. That's when I understood I wasn't just their fixer. I wasn't just the one who cleaned up their messes, who paid the bills, who took the hit. I was more than that. I had been raised to think I was nothing more than a safety net, but I was stronger than they ever gave me credit for. And I wasn't going to keep playing that apart anymore. I wasn't going to let them take my life from me piece by piece until there was nothing left but an empty shell of a woman who had given up everything for people who didn't even see her. The silence in the car didn't feel so suffocating anymore. It felt liberating. I wasn't just driving home. I was driving toward a new beginning, a new chapter where I wasn't someone's backup plan or a piece of disposable property. I was someone with my own power, my own purpose, and the ability to finally choose who I wanted to be. I wasn't going to keep begging for scraps of love. I wasn't going to keep accepting their terms. No, I was done. And when I stepped out of that car, I would be a different person. The kind of person who didn't have to beg for love. The kind of person who could finally love herself. I had always believed in the Green City Project. From the moment I first proposed the idea, I knew it was something special. It wasn't just another urban development. It was a vision of the future, an eco-friendly urban park system that would transform the city into a living, breathing ecosystem. It wasn't just my work, it was my legacy. But somewhere along the way, it became something else. It became Justin's project. The moment I knew I was no longer in control was the moment I stopped being called into meetings, the moment my voice was ignored. I was no longer part of the conversations that I had worked so hard to build. Instead, I found myself relegated to the background, the quiet observer, the invisible hand behind the curtain. And it was infuriating. For 3 years, I had poured my heart and soul into the designs, into the planning, into the vision of what could be. I was the one working late nights. I was the one doing the research, the one collaborating with environmental scientists and structural engineers. I was the one who understood the intricacies of the project, who knew how to balance form and function, beauty and sustainability. But because my name wasn't Justin's, because I wasn't the one with the right connections or the right last name, my role was diminished. My father always, the businessman, saw Justin as the one with the star power, the one who could handle the spotlight. He was the one who got to take all the meetings, the one who got to talk to the investors, the one who was always in front of the camera. I was pushed aside, left to toil in the shadows, as though my work was nothing more than a forgotten sketch in the corner of a desk. I tried not to let it bother me. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself that I was still contributing, that my designs were still going to be seen, that this project was still going to happen. But deep down, I knew I was just a ghost in my own life, in my own family. Justin, on the other hand, had taken full advantage of the situation. He knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't an architect. He didn't have the vision, the skill, or the knowledge to bring this project to life. But he didn't need to. He had something else. He had the right connections. He had the family name. And that was all it took. He could stand up in front of investors and sell the idea as if it were his own, as if he had built it from the ground up. And no one would question it. No one would ask about the woman who had spent countless hours designing the very thing he was claiming as his own. And the worst part, I had let him. I had let him take it all. I had let my own family treat me like an afterthought, like my work wasn't worth anything unless it had his name attached to it. It wasn't just the project that hurt, it was the betrayal. It was the realization that the very people I had spent my entire life trying to please, trying to prove myself to, had no intention of ever letting me take center stage. My father didn't see me as a leader. My mother didn't see me as someone capable of greatness. To them, I was just the backup plan, the one who could fill in the gaps when things went wrong, the one who could clean up their messes. But I wasn't just that. I was more than that. I was the one who had created this project. I was the one who had made it come to life. And I wasn't going to let Justin or anyone else take that from me. I sat there staring at the computer screen and it hit me like a wave. I had been playing their game for too long, accepting my role in their narrative, never questioning the way they saw me. But now it was time to take control. The Green City project wasn't just some portfolio piece. It wasn't just a pretty rendering on a PowerPoint slide. It was a $3.5 million contract that I had built from the ground up. It was my future, my legacy, and I wasn't going to let it slip through my fingers. I had spent 3 years working on it, but now it was being stolen from me. And I wasn't going to let that happen. I knew the family business. I knew their systems. I knew the back doors they used to cover their tracks. I had worked in the shadows for so long, I had learned all the ins and outs of their operations. It was time to turn that knowledge to my advantage. I logged into the firm's private server, and that's when I saw it. The access logs were scrolling in real time. Someone was logged in as admin, and that someone was not me. For a brief moment, I hesitated. I had spent my life in their world, and part of me still wanted to reach out to call my father to ask for an explanation. But then I remembered everything they had taken from me. I remembered all the years I had spent making them comfortable, making them proud while my own dreams had been pushed aside. And in that moment, the anger surged. I wasn't just going to sit back and let them erase me. I wasn't just going to let Justin stand in front of those investors and steal everything I had worked for. I had built this project, and now I was going to take back what was mine. I sat there staring at the screen, the cursor blinking back at me like a taunt. It was hard to breathe. The realization that everything I had worked for, everything I had built, was slipping away in real time. I had given so much of myself to this project, my time, my energy, my soul, and now it was all being stolen right in front of my eyes. But the anger that surged inside me wasn't just about the theft. It wasn't just about the betrayal. No, it was something deeper. It was about the fact that they had underestimated me. They thought I was just a fixer, just the woman in the background. They thought that by taking my work, by erasing me from the picture, they could take everything from me without consequence. They were wrong. They hadn't realized that I was always one step ahead. And that's when I saw it. A small glitch in their plan, a tiny crack in the armor they had built. Justin had made a critical mistake. He had failed to check the code. He thought he had erased me. He thought he had stolen my work and made sure I couldn't prove it. But he hadn't even scratched the surface. I had seen the way he moved, the way he acted, like he was untouchable, as if everything had fallen into place, just the way he wanted it. But there was one thing he didn't count on. I had prepared for this. Years ago, when I first started building the Green City project, I had a feeling, a gut instinct that told me things wouldn't go according to plan. I couldn't shake the feeling that one day my family would take everything from me, that they would erase me, erase my work. So, I took precautions. I didn't just design a project, I designed a failsafe. I planted a dead man's switch deep within the system, hidden in the very core of the code. It wasn't just a backup. It wasn't just a safety net. It was an insurance policy, a hidden trigger that would activate if anyone tried to steal my work, if anyone tried to erase me from the picture. I didn't know when or how it would happen, but I knew one day someone would try, and I would be ready. As I sat there watching the files move, watching my entire life's work being taken away, I felt something shift inside me. The panic that had gripped me moments before faded, replaced by a cold, calculated calm. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Justin had stolen my files, yes, but he hadn't touched the core. He hadn't seen what was hiding beneath the surface in the very foundation of the Green City project. He thought he could take credit for my work, sell it as his own, and erase me. But I knew better. I knew the truth, and the truth would come out. I took a deep breath and opened a command terminal on my laptop, my fingers moving quickly as I typed in a string of characters. The screen flickered for a moment, then a hidden directory popped up. It was buried deep in the metadata of the 3D geometry, invisible to the untrained eye. Architects call it a digital watermark. I call it my dead man's switch. I had embedded it in the core models for the project years ago when I first started building it. It was a small detail, a simple string of code that would lie dormant until it was needed. And now it was ready. It was waiting. I checked the status of the script, and sure enough, it was active. My heart raced, but I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel doubt. I felt a strange sense of power, a feeling I hadn't allowed myself to experience in years. This was my moment. Justin had played his hand, and now it was my turn. The Green City project wasn't just a set of pretty pictures or a collection of blueprints. It was a living, breathing system. It was mine, and no one could take that away. I looked at the clock. There was no time to waste. I had to act quickly. Justin was going to present my work to the investors in less than 48 hours. He thought he had everything under control. He thought he had won, but he hadn't. Not yet. The script I had written, the one that would expose the truth, wasn't just a simple hack. It wasn't just a way to delete files or lock them out. No. This was much more complicated. The script didn't just erase, it exposed. It would show the world who the true creator was. And there was only one thing left to do. I had to be in the room when Justin tried to sell my work. I had to be there in front of the investors when the truth came to light. I didn't need to fight my way through legal battles or call up lawyers. I didn't need to scream or beg for my work back. All I needed was the moment when Justin stood on that stage, when he tried to take credit for something he didn't understand. And when that moment came when he least expected it, I would make sure the world knew who the real creator was. The morning of the pitch, I woke up to a feeling in my chest, a mixture of excitement and dread that only comes when you're about to walk into a storm. It was still early, but I didn't need to sleep anymore. I had made my plan. I had done the work. And now it was time to expose Justin for what he truly was: a fraud, a thief, someone who would stop at nothing to steal what wasn't his. The Green City project wasn't just a project to me, it was everything. It was the culmination of years of hard work, of dreams that had been slowly choked out by the very people who should have been cheering me on. But today was different. Today, everything was going to change. I grabbed my blazer, adjusted it in the mirror, and walked out of my condo with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. The city was waking up as I made my way to the downtown real estate exchange. The sun was blinding, almost mocking me with its brightness, as if it were reminding me how much was at stake. This wasn't just about a presentation. This was about reclaiming what was mine, what I had built with my own hands. I arrived at the building and stood outside for a moment, gathering my thoughts. The pitch was about to begin, and I was ready. I knew I had one shot at this. I couldn't afford to make a mistake. Inside, the future of the Green City project would be decided. My project. I adjusted my blazer one last time and walked toward the entrance. But as I approached the security checkpoint, something felt off. The air seemed too still. The guard at the door looked at me with a blank expression as I approached, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I tapped my badge against the scanner, expecting the usual green light to flash, but instead, the machine let out a low, angry buzz. My stomach dropped. I tried again. Same result. A red light flashed above the scanner. Access denied, the machine said in a cold, mechanical voice. My heart started to race as I looked at the guard, confused. "There's a mistake," I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the panic rising inside me. "I'm the lead architect for the Green City pitch today. My name is Giselle." The guard didn't even look at his screen. He just shook his head. "System says your credentials were scrubbed yesterday. Terminated with a cause. You're on the do not admit list." I froze. What terminated? It took me a second to process what he was saying. Terminated? I had been fired. My mind raced. This didn't make sense. I had been working on this project for 3 years. I had built it. I was the one who knew the ins and outs of every detail. And now, just hours before the pitch, I was being locked out of the building. My own family had done this to me. Justin had preemptively fired me to ensure I couldn't stop him. He had anticipated my move, anticipated that I would try to expose him, and he had already shut me out. I felt a cold rage spread through me, but I didn't show it. I couldn't afford to lose my cool. Not now. I turned to walk away, but something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to let them do this to me. I wasn't going to be erased so easily. My mind raced as I scanned the situation. The guard was still standing there, his eyes on his phone, not paying attention to me. The door was closed, the security system locked tight, but I couldn't give up. Not now. There had to be another way in. That's when I remembered Marcus Sterling, the lead developer for the rival firm bidding against my family today. I had known Marcus for years. 2 years ago, I had tipped him off about a zoning violation on one of his sites. I hadn't done it to help him. I had done it because it was the right thing to do. But Marcus had never forgotten it. He owed me. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts. My finger hovered over Marcus's name for a moment before I pressed send. One simple message. "I'm in the lobby. I can prove the Green City IP is stolen. Get me in." I didn't know if he would respond. I didn't know if he would even see the message in time. But he was my only hope. I turned back to the guard, trying to look as calm as possible, though my mind was racing. I couldn't let Justin win. Not like this. 2 minutes later, the elevator doors opened and Marcus walked out, flanked by his legal team. He didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. He knew exactly what was going on. He looked at the guard and said, "She's my external consultant. She's with us." The The guard hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside, allowing me to pass. Just like that, the fortress walls crumbled. I walked into the building, my heart pounding, but this time I wasn't afraid. I wasn't alone anymore. Marcus had helped me get in. He had given me a chance, and I wasn't going to waste it. I was going to walk into that boardroom and take back what was mine. The room was charged with energy, a room full of investors, billionaires, who could make or break an entire industry with a single decision. Justin stood at the front, a golden boy surrounded by polished confidence. He was in his element, presenting the Green City project, as if it had sprung fully formed from his own mind, weaving a story of eco-friendly vision, future cities, and innovation. He wore that self-assured smile, the one he always wore when he thought he had won. But this time, he was wrong. I stood in the back, my eyes fixed on him, the room filled with the sound of his voice, a voice that should have made me proud, but only made my blood boil. I had designed this project, this vision from the ground up. But here he was, claiming it as his own, basking in the glow of praise that should have been mine. My fingers clenched into fists. But I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to make a scene. I didn't need to do anything but expose the truth. And so I pulled out my phone, feeling the weight of the moment settle around me. With a simple tap, everything would change. I wasn't going to be invisible anymore. I wasn't going to let him erase me. I tapped the screen, and as I did, the room around me seemed to hold its breath. The massive LED screen behind Justin flickered, the smooth, pristine 3D model of the Green City transforming into something far less polished. The vibrant colors bled into a deep, unsettling red. A wire frame emerged, flashing with a stark message that couldn't be ignored. The truth stolen property, author Jome, signature forged, project terminated. The silence was deafening. The room once filled with rapt attention was now buzzing with confusion. Investors leaned forward, eyes flicking between the screen and Justin trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Justin froze. His confident mask shattered in an instant. His hand trembled on the remote, trying in vain to turn the screen off to fix the error. But it was too late. The damage was done. His lie had been exposed. I stepped forward, my voice calm and unwavering, cutting through the chaos that had erupted in the room. "It's not a hack." I said my words steady, every syllable deliberate. "It's a copyright claim. This project is mine. Justin didn't create it. He stole it." The words hung in the air, sharp and unyielding. Justin, once so untouchable, now stood exposed. His eyes darted to the screen, then to me, his face pale and stricken with panic. The investors shifted in their seats, murmurs rippling through the room. I didn't care about the investors, though. I didn't care about the deal. What mattered was that the truth had come out. My parents were sitting in the front row, their faces unreadable, but I saw the disappointment flicker in their eyes. I wasn't their golden child. I wasn't the one who could be molded into their perfect image. They had never seen me for who I was, for what I could accomplish. I was just a tool, a safety net, a backup plan. But today I wasn't just a backup. I was the truth. I turned and walked out of the room, not looking back. The weight of the victory settled on me heavy and bittersweet. The battle was over, but the war with my family would never end. I had won this moment, but the cost was clear. As I stepped out of the building, I felt free. For the first time in years, I felt like I was finally reclaiming the life that was always mine to begin with. I drove away from the building, the city skyline fading behind me, but I didn't feel the weight of it on my shoulders anymore. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was carrying someone else's expectations, someone else's weight. The freedom hit me in waves. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet like the calm after a storm when you realize the world around you has shifted, but you're still standing. I looked out the window at the road ahead, the cars passing by all the people going about their business, and I felt like I was finally in control of my future. The financial closure was there. My work had been validated in front of the world. The emotional closure too. I had walked away from a family that never truly saw me for who I was, never truly understood my worth, but it no longer mattered. I didn't need their approval anymore. What I had now was more than I could have ever hoped for. I had my dignity. I had my work. I had the power to move forward, to rebuild my life piece by piece, with no one telling me how to live it. There was no more pretending, no more playing the part of the invisible one. No more sacrificing myself for a family that took and took, always wanting more, but never giving anything back. The betrayal still stung, but it didn't hurt like it used to. It wasn't a wound that would bleed forever. I had taken back what was mine, and I had walked away with my head held high. The future was uncertain, but for the first time it was mine to shape. As I turned the corner onto the highway, the sun was low, casting a warm, golden glow over everything. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew one thing: I was free. The kind of freedom that doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It comes with quiet moments like this one, when you finally realize that you are in control. And as the road stretched ahead of me, I realized that this was the beginning of something new, something entirely mine. A new life, a new chapter, and the freedom to write it on my own terms.